What up? It's Tice, and in this video, I'm going to dive into exactly how I made $6,724 last week within 7 days from phone flipping. And I'm not going to lie to you, yes, this is revenue, and around $3,500 of this was profit. But in this video, I'm going to go over exactly how I did this, like my exact system, and exactly how I did this really as a middleman, because that's really all I am at the end of the day, is I'm kind of just a middleman. So I'm going to be going over exactly how you could hit these same numbers as me, exactly what I do, the exact framework behind it, the mindset behind it, everything like that. So what I see a lot is that most people, like 99% of people, think phone flipping is about grinding Facebook Marketplace outreach and negotiating like crazy and trying to sell phones one by one. That's what I see 99% of the time, right? But the way I do things is completely different, and that's exactly how I actually made over 6K last week. So I don't repair phones. I don't resell them on Facebook. No, I don't resell my phones on Facebook. Might be a shocker for you to hear that. I'm basically just a middleman, and that's why I make more. And if you're still flipping phones the old way, you're doing it wrong, because that strategy right there, it's completely dying. This strategy right here, where you source your phones through Facebook Marketplace and you sell your phones on Facebook Marketplace, sourcing your phones through straight cold outreach on Facebook Marketplace, and then selling your phones one by one right back on Facebook Marketplace. This is the wrong strategy. And I'm going to teach you exactly what I do and exactly how to fix this. So let me break this down, because once I made this one shift and started using a completely different system than 99% of phone flippers, that's when I actually started making real money. I started making 1% money when I started doing the 1% system that actually the 1% of phone flippers use, because 99% of people, 99% of phone flippers are using this system right here. So when you do what 99% of the people are not doing, you're going to get obviously the 1% results, right? It obviously makes sense. Most phone flipping gurus will tell you to hustle harder and message more people and drive all over town, post in 50 Facebook groups. And yeah, I've done it, right? I've done this right here. I've done this, right? And I've made money doing it. It works. I'm not going to completely say that it doesn't work, but why would you keep doing that when there's a system out there that's way more efficient and can make you way more money in way less time, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to lie. Yes, I have made money with this, but there is a way more efficient system that can make you a lot more money that I'm currently doing. So the key, what I've realized is that the key, it's actually really not doing more. It's actually doing less, but doing less of the wrong stuff, right? It's really about doing less of the wrong stuff and just building leverage, right? The biggest thing in phone flipping is leverage. This is super small. This is by far the biggest thing in phone flipping right here is leverage, right? So you want to be building as much leverage as possible. Now, most people flip phones like a hustle. I flip phones like an actual business. And here's what I actually mean by that. So last week, again, I made over $3,500 in profit. And most of that came from this sourcing strategy right here. Supplier. Most of that $3,500 in profit came from one guy. Most of that came from one guy, a supplier who brings me batches of phones multiple times a week. Sometimes he'll come and sell me a bunch of phones in bulk, like once a week, or he might come 3 times a week or 2 times a week and sell me 20 phones here, 20 phones there, or 10 phones here, 10 phones there, or he might just come one time and give me 50 phones, a box of 50 phones, right? But the point is, I got most of the phones that I actually acquired, and most of that $3,500 profit that I made last week was literally just from one guy who brings me phones in bulk. And the thing is that I didn't find him. I didn't even find him. He found me through one of my Facebook ads, through one of my meta ads on Instagram. So he found me through one of my ads that were running on Instagram. And this is where it kind of hits you, and you realize, so this supplier, get this shit out the way. This supplier came from my Facebook ad, right? And my Facebook ads also run on Instagram. And that's where he actually DM'd me. And that's how I actually met this supplier. So, what was I saying? Oh yeah, and that's where it kind of hits you, and you kind of realize like, oh well, I don't need to chase down 100 random people a week. I just need one good supplier and one buyer, and that's it. Yes, that's all you need. That's all I have. I have my Facebook ads running that consistently bring me phones, and then I have my one supplier, two suppliers that bring me phones guaranteed every single week, sometimes multiple times a week, and they bring me phones in bulk. And that's all I have. All you need is one supplier and one good buyer, and you can make thousands of dollars a month with phone flipping. Now, that right there is leverage. That is leverage. So all the suppliers that I meet, they come through my meta ads. So it kind of looks like this. I run my Facebook ads. All my suppliers, they come through the Facebook ads, right? Because they find me. I don't find them. And then it goes straight from the supplier right to me, and then me to the buyer. This is actually pissing me off. I don't like this here. Shit. So this right here, like you'll get suppliers through running meta ads, and from the meta ads, you will have, or Facebook ads, Instagram ads, whatever you want to call them. The ads run both on the ads that I run both on Facebook and Instagram. But this is leverage. This is my leverage system right here. Is Facebook ads. I get people that I consistently pick up phones, $100 profit here, $200 profit there, $50 profit there on just regular customers' phones. But the suppliers find you through your Facebook ads. They find you, and this is my whole entire system right here. Honestly, is suppliers on how I made that $3,500 last week. Supplier to me, straight to the buyer. I'm not fixing any phones. I'm not selling any phones on Facebook Marketplace. I'm not selling any phones on OfferUp. I'm just the middleman, right? Like, this is me right here. I'm just in between the supplier and the buyer. I'm just passing the phones along, right? So I'm not fixing any phones. I'm not selling any phones on Marketplace. I'm just the middleman. But the only reason I'm able to do this, and listen up, like fucking full screen, turn off all your distractions because I'm about to go pretty deep. The only reason I'm able to do this is because I put myself in the middle. I put myself in the middle by running ads that attracted motivated sellers, and I marketed myself in a way for them to actually trust me, right? I marketed in myself in a way that actually gets them to trust me by running paid ads that attracted these types of people, right? A lot of you people, like maybe you are one step ahead of most phone flippers and you're actually running Facebook paid ads. But I look at a lot of phone flippers' Facebook paid ads, and they're just shitty picture ads. Like just some shitty generic picture ad that I've seen a million times across every other phone flipper's ad. And I'm like, bro, I mean, you're on the right track, right? Like you're starting to do something different. But it's just a shitty generic picture ad that I've seen a million times against, like, across every single other phone flipper I've ever seen run Facebook ads. And you're just copying them. And it's like, that's not it. You're on the right track, but it's just not it, right? So at the end of the day, I just need to market myself in a way that makes these people trust me and put my ad in front of these types of people. And I don't need to be the best phone guy. I don't need to be the best phone guy. I don't need to have the best prices or anything. I just need eyeballs. Because when people see you as the guy with quick cash for iPhones, the deals come to you. And when you've got deals consistently flowing to you and you have buyers already lined up to sell that phone to, you have a wholesale buyer. You don't need multiple wholesale buyers. I have one wholesale buyer. That's my main buyer that I sell phones to. I have one main buyer that I sell mostly all of my phones to, right? But when you have consistent deals that come to you and you just have all that money flowing straight to a buyer that's already lined up to buy those phones, you control the whole game at that point. Like, you control literally the whole entire game at that point. And that's where you start understanding leverage and marketing and positioning yourself. And when you learn marketing, you learn leverage, and you start positioning yourself in a certain way, you start playing chess, right? And now you're probably thinking, well, Tice, don't you need some crazy overseas buyers, or don't you need overseas buyers with really good prices, paying top dollar to make that kind of money? No, no, you don't. Let me break this belief right here, because I get a lot of people coming to me, and they're like, "Oh, well, I'm not going to start unless I get overseas buyers," or "I'd rather just sell on Facebook Marketplace because I don't have an overseas buyer. Like, do you see what these guys are paying?" And I'm like, bro, I've been phone flipping for almost 2 years now. I've made over $20,000 profit in a month of this business, and I've never once sold to an overseas buyer. Like, let me just break your belief that you think you can't start, or you think you can't scale because, oh, my buyer gives me bad prices. Like, bro, I don't have an overseas buyer, and I've made $20,000 profit in a month. And you probably, you've made $10,000 in a month, and you think you can't scale to 20 because you need an overseas buyer? Or even worse, I see people who haven't even started, and they're like, "Oh, well, are your buyers overseas buyers?" And I'm like, "No. You don't need overseas, bro. You haven't even made your first dollar with this, and you're already worried about getting overseas buyers? Come on now." So, no, I don't need overseas buyers that are paying top dollar to make this kind of money. The answer is literally fuck no. My buyers don't pay prices like overseas buyers. I'm gonna be straight up. My buyers don't pay buyers. My buyers don't pay prices like overseas buyers. All you need is a buyer with some at least semi decent pricing, and you could absolutely print with them. Like, I've seen some buyers in my local area. I've seen some buyers with super shitty pricing, super shitty prices. But as long as you have a buyer that has some okay pricing, like mine, you can make a lot of money. But the reason being is because the reason you could actually make a lot of money with a decent buyer, and you don't need an overseas buyer, is because how I source the phones. Right here, through the ads. This is how I source my phones, right? So here's what absolutely nobody tells you. Here's what nobody tells you is that the real money in phone flipping, it doesn't come from having the best buyer. It comes from getting the phones cheap enough in the first place, right? That's why. This is why right here. Because you're acquiring your phones through Facebook Marketplace and you're selling to a private buyer, that's why you're not making a lot of money. Like, maybe you are getting your phones only through outreach and you do have a private buyer. Again, that's why you're not making real money in the first place, because flipping phones, getting the phone cheap enough in the first place, that's how you're going to make the money. You don't need the best buyer, but it comes from getting the phone cheap enough in the first place. And when you're running meta ads, you could get the phone for cheap enough in the first place. Whereas cold outreach on Facebook Marketplace, you're not getting that phone for cheap enough. So of course you're going to blame your buyer. Of course you're going to say, my buyer's not buying them for a high enough price. Of course you're going to blame it on them because you can't get that phone for a low enough price because you don't have any leverage. You don't have any leverage at all, right? So I hope that makes sense. I hope that clicks something in your brain. So that's exactly why I use Facebook ads right there, because when you run the ad, you attract a completely different type of seller, right? You attract a completely whole different audience of sellers, right? Because on Facebook Marketplace, people aren't in pain, right? That's the main thing. When you're running a Facebook ad, people are in pain, right? On Marketplace, people aren't in pain. They're chill. They're like, oh, I'll sell this iPhone 11 eventually. I'll sell it eventually. I'm not in a rush, right? You'll hear that all the time when you're reaching out to people and you're trying to lowball them, and you'll be like, oh, quick cash today or tomorrow. People will say, I'm not in a rush. I'll sell it eventually. So you're negotiating with people who don't care. There's nothing to negotiate there because people don't care. A lot of people don't care. And when people don't care, they want top dollar. Like me right now, if I were to list a fucking couch on Facebook Marketplace, I don't need it gone. Like, my rent's paid, my bills are paid. I don't need it gone, right? So I'm gonna look for, if I list it for $300, I want to get $300. I don't care about quick cash today, like most people, because I don't really care that much, right? I'm not in a rush. I'm not in any sort of pain to sell that couch, right? And when people don't care, they want top dollar. I don't care about that couch, so I want top dollar, right? But usually when someone clicks on your ad, it's usually most of the time, it's because they need cash right now, right? they cracked their screen, or they missed rent, or they need gas money, or they need to pay their car payment. For some reason, it's urgent. Most of the time, for some sort of reason, it's urgent. And they need money for something. And when someone's in pain and you are positioned as the solution, let me repeat that. When someone's in pain and you are positioned as the solution, you control the price. You control the price when someone's in pain and you are positioned as the solution. Hey, I will buy your phone for quick cash. So you control the price at that point. So you're not just buying a phone, you're solving a problem, right? This is a service-based business. This is a service-based business. You're solving a problem and you're solving it fast, right? And because of that, you can get phones for way below market value. You could get phones for whatever the fuck price you want because you're solving that problem, right? And even if your buyer isn't paying anything crazy, you could still get phones for way below market value. You could still make a lot of profit even if your buyer isn't paying anything crazy. And at the end of the day, you don't need to be the tech guy. You just need to be the solution that people are looking for. And the solution that most people are looking for is just fast cash, right? Fast cash for their iPhone. And that's what marketing does, and that's what puts you actually in control. And then what happens is you get people like I did who don't just have one phone, but right here, a supplier, they don't just have one phone, but sometimes they have 5, sometimes 10. Sometimes people will have just another phone laying around from a general customer from your Facebook ad. Or sometimes they're upgrading their whole family's phone, or they run a store, or they also phone flip themselves, and they get hundreds of phones a month, just like my supplier that I deal with. And now instead of being stuck in the Facebook hustle, you've got a supplier, and they come to you. You guys meet up once a week, twice a week, a couple times a week. You buy phones in bulk, and you flip the whole stack the same day to your buyer, and you made fucking $1,000 profit in a day, and you're like, holy shit. Like, what is even going on? Now, that's how I made over $6,000, $6,724 last week, mostly from one supplier, one buyer, and one system. Everything that I just covered right there. Now, obviously, I didn't figure all this out overnight, right? Like, all of this shit, this took a lot of trial and error. Like I said, I've done this shit, right? So all this shit that I had to figure out right here looks super sloppy right now. But all this shit, I had to figure this out. I did not figure this out overnight. It took a lot of trial and error and learning what like actually works and not just what YouTubers say and what YouTubers make fucking like challenge videos on. But like once I built this actual whole entire system, like I said at the start, once I built this system, this completely changed. So, I mean, like if you're watching this video and you're stuck in this old way of phone flipping that all the gurus push, and you're just messaging random people, cold outreach on Facebook Marketplace, waiting days to sell your phone. You're selling them one by one on Facebook Marketplace, and you're chasing deals that barely profit. And if you just want something more scalable, more consistent like this, like what I do, then that's exactly what I do to help people. Like if you need any help with this, you can book a call with me using the first link in the description, and I'll help you out. I'll give you the same exact ad strategy, the buyer network I use, and the exact system. So, like, if you're actually ready and become the middleman like I am, there's a link below to booking a call with me. We'll see if it's a good fit, and from there, if it is a good fit, then I'll help you out. But that's that.